Unbelievable. Jungkook's real reason, just revealed now. No one was truly prepared for what happened in the middle of the 5th Division's military training session last week. Not even the trainers who had witnessed various emotional events for years. Jungkook, the main vocalist of BTS known for his mental and physical toughness, suddenly showed a side that no one had ever seen before. In front of his colleagues, he hugged Jimin in the middle of the training field and cried. But the question is, what actually happened? And why is the reason only being revealed now? A shocking fact that finally leaked from internal circles mentioned that the emotional moment was not just a sentimental feeling towards the end of his mandatory military service. A military source who declined to be named mentioned that Jungkook had been harboring heavy psychological pressure for weeks. He had asked for a short leave, called personal recovery leave, without much explanation to his colleagues. But now it is revealed that the reason behind the leave was not only due to physical fatigue or ordinary military pressure, but something far more personal and touching: fear of returning to an entertainment world that was completely different from 2 years ago. Jungkook, who since his debut has been touted as the Golden Magne, a nickname given because he can sing, dance, rap, and even produce music, faced an existential worry that he had never expressed before. After more than a year of living a highly structured and disciplined life as a soldier, the drastic change back to public life turned out to be mentally burdening him. Amidst such great attention, he began to question one simple but fundamental thing: am I still worthy of being called the Jungkook of BTS that I used to be? This feeling began to grow since the beginning of this year, according to information confirmed from the military staff of the 5th Division. Jungkook was said to be often seen brooding alone at night, sometimes missing light discussion sessions with his colleagues. Although he still carried out all his duties perfectly, his facial expressions and body language began to show signs of someone who was struggling emotionally. The peak occurred on the day of martial arts training, which became a social media highlight after one of the soldiers leaked the event to the online community. That was when Jungkook finally gave in to his emotions and hugged Jimin, a colleague as well as the figure who understood him the most. But behind that hug, there was an explosion of feelings that had been held back all this time. After training, in the barracks that were starting to empty, Jungkook revealed everything to Jimin. "Hyung, I'm scared. I'm afraid the world has changed. I'm afraid. I'm not the same as before," he said softly. Jimin, who has been a place of support for the other BTS members, looked at Jungkook with understanding. He knew that behind the amazing stage performance and the bright smile that was always displayed, there was a young man who had carried global expectations since the age of 15. Jungkook was not only afraid of being unprepared to return to the entertainment world. He was also haunted by a sense of loss of identity. "I don't know whether I can be myself as before," he said. Those words stung. Not because of weakness, but because of his honesty. The world may know him as an unshakable idol, but at that moment, he was just a human who longed for a version of himself that was free, without pressure, without expectations. And this is where the biggest surprise of everything that happened lies. The real reason that Jungkook has been hiding all this time. Not because he is not physically ready, not because he is afraid of appearance or competition, but because during his military service, he found a side of himself that was more peaceful, more whole, and more honest. A side that doesn't always appear on stage or under the spotlight. He was afraid of losing the version of himself that he found in the military, who wakes up at 5 a.m. without an interview schedule, who can eat without counting calories, who can laugh without a camera. But this moment is not just a turning point for Jungkook. It is also a mirror for many people about how someone who looks the strongest can also feel fragile. A personal letter from Bang Si-hyuk, the founder of HYBE, which was sent directly to the military camp, strengthened Jungkook's spirit. The letter read, "The world is waiting for you not to be perfect. The world is waiting for you to be your true self. And that is more than enough." The letter was touching, erasing the boundaries between superiors and artists, between the business world and human empathy. Jungkook, who read the letter with trembling hands, finally cried not because of fear, but because he felt understood. "I guess I don't need to be perfect, do I?" he said with a thin smile to Jimin. And that's when a bright spot began to appear. Now, with a few weeks left before their military service ends, Jungkook is slowly starting to prepare himself mentally to return to the outside world. But not with the same fear. He chose to return as his new self, not only Jungkook of BTS, but also Jungkook the human, the young man, the individual who has grown in the silence of the military and faced himself without the mask of fame. What does all this mean for the future of BTS? Maybe more than we think. Their resurgence is not just about a music comeback, concerts, or global charts, but also about recovery, emotional honesty, and the courage to admit that being human is more important than being perfect. And for the fans, this story is a reminder that their idols are not entertainment robots, but humans who grow and change, just like all of us. Jungkook, in all his complexity, now stands stronger than ever, because for the first time in his life, he chose to be honest about his fears. And in that honesty, he found true courage. Unbelievable. This is Jungkook's real reason, just revealed now. Continued, after the touching moment between Jungkook and Jimin on the 5th Division's training ground spread widely through short video clips on TikTok and various YouTube channels, the public seemed divided. On the one hand, many were touched, admitting to crying when witnessing the emotional intimacy of two friends who are now serving as soldiers. However, on the other hand, skeptical voices emerged questioning, is this real? Or just part of a grand narrative deliberately formed to maintain their existence in the midst of a vacuum period? Questions like this are important to ask. Because in today's digital age, where content can be produced and distributed very quickly, even by anyone, from anywhere, we cannot swallow every touching story whole, even if it involves a big name like Jungkook BTS. Did the moment of Jungkook and Jimin's hug really happen spontaneously in the middle of military training that is known to be rigid and structured? Or is it a fragment of a narrative strategy designed to touch the sympathy of fans and strengthen their humanistic image? Given that this information comes from snippets of content on social media that have not been officially verified by the agency, shouldn't we ask, who actually benefits from the virality of this story? In the video clips circulating widely on TikTok, we see the reactions of soldiers who appear touched, some even seen wiping away tears. But, are they really real soldiers? Or could they be additional figures, or even scenes that have been emotionally edited to create a certain atmosphere? Some fans insist that this event is real, given the testimony from several Twitter accounts claiming to be fellow soldiers at the location. However, who can guarantee that those accounts were actually at the scene? Who verified their identities when the letter from Bang Si-hyuk, the founder of HYBE, was said to be an emotional turning point for Jungkook, who was said to have cried after reading it? The narrative felt even more dramatic. "The world is still waiting for you, not with pressure, but with love," the quote spread. That sentence, of course, is very touching. But let's reflect together. How could a very personal and emotional letter leak to the public so quickly and specifically? Who leaked it? With whose permission? And for what purpose? This is where the importance of skepticism and reflection lies. Not to completely reject the truth of an event, but to understand its context fully. In an era where narrative can be more important than fact, and where public image becomes a celebrity's main asset, it is only natural that we question the motives behind the virality of a story. Moreover, we need to realize that the sources of information underlying this article are very diverse, from TikTok, YouTube, to Twitter and other online communities. None of this information comes from official statements from HYBE or mainstream media that have high journalistic standards. Please discuss your opinions in the comments column or community space. Are you sure the touching moment really happened as depicted? Or do you smell a sensationalism wrapped in the beauty of emotion? We await your response. And once again, Stay alert, stay critical, and don't be easily lulled by narratives that are too perfect to be true. Because behind every viral news, there is always an important question that we deserve to ask: for whom was this story created, and who actually benefits?